Lawson started out as a dairy in Cuyahoga Falls in 1939. Back then, milk was usually sold by the quart, but owner J.J. Lawson thought he could save money and grow his business by using larger size bottles. His new 1-gallon glass bottles were a hit, and soon Lawson's milk was found all over Northeast Ohio. The company grew fast, and by the end of the 1950s had over 200 stores stretching from Cleveland to Canton. In 1960, Lawson's took on a new challenge, bringing fresh squeezed orange juice to Northeast Ohio. To pull this off, it took a fleet of trucks driving nonstop from Florida, and to sell this to the public, Lawson's created a TV commercial that is still remembered today.
This is the story of a tank truck express they call the Big O. She hauls Lawson's fresh squeezed orange juice nonstop from Florida.
One man sleeps while the other man drives on the non-stop Lawson run.
And the cold, cold juice in the tank truck caboose stays as fresh as the Florida sun.
It's been over 3 decades since this ad last ran on TV, but plenty of Northeast Ohioans still know the lyrics by heart.
Roll on, Big O.
Get that juice up to Lawson's in 40 hours.
Cleveland punk band Two Bobs even did a cover version in the 1980s.
One guy sleeps and that other guy drives on the non-stop Lawson run. And the cold juice in the tank truck caboose stays fresh as the Florida sun.
And now, here's the original full version of that famous Lawsons commercial.
This is the story of a tank truck express they call the Big O. She hauls Lawson's fresh squeezed orange juice nonstop from Florida. Roll on, Big O. Get that juice up to Lawson's in 40 hours. Now the oranges ripen in the Florida sun. Sweet on the tree they stay. Then they pick 'em and they squeeze just as quick as you please. And the Big O leaves the same day. Roll on, Big O. Get that juice up to Lawson's in 40 hours. Now one man sleeps while the other man drives on the non-stop Lawson run. And the cold, cold juice in the tank truck caboose stays as fresh as the Florida sun. Roll on, Big O. Get that juice up to Lawson's in 40 hours. Get that juice up to Lawson's in 40 hours.
Roll on, Big O.
Those lyrics, I hadn't seen the clip in a long time, and I remembered the cold, cold juice in that tank truck caboose. Yeah.
We all remember that. Everybody at that time period remembered that in Cleveland. Yeah.
It tells you something about the era that it was. It took 40 hours. Two guys driving nonstop. It took me 40 hours from Florida to Cleveland. I did that drive in a van in 1983 and 19. I don't know. It took them a little longer.
It might have been before the interstates were complete.
That's true.
Though.
Yeah, that's correct. I remember the milk jugs from Lawson's. You remember those? They were the glass ones, and they had the handle and the cardboard tab that went in, and it went around, and you pulled it up.
And pull it out, and like you said, the handles that you could carry it because you had to carry it back to the store.
Take it back to the store
get your deposit back.
And I like their chip dip and the chip chop ham.
I miss Lawson's. Wish you were still around. Yeah. Okay. Well, one of the most popular holiday traditions of this TV station was the annual appearance of Mr. Jingling, known as the Keeper of the Keys.
It's time for Mr. Jingling.
During the Christmas seasons of the 1960s and 70s, Mr. Jingling appeared daily in a 5-minute segment on TV5, telling stories and singing songs about the North Pole.
Mr. Jingling and Ollie, Ollie and Jings. When we're together, we're quite a team. Well, you know, you're right, Ollie. We are a very good team.
After a long TV run, Mr. Jingling eventually left the airwaves. And then in the mid-1990s, reporter Kathy Davis found Mr. Jingling at his new home, an exhibit at Penitentiary Glen in Lake County.
It started for me in 1965.
And it's continuing for us in 1995. The spirits of Christmas past in Cleveland, Christmas at the downtown Halley building, have been put on display at Lake Metropark's Penitentiary Glen Nature Center. I had a chance to tour it with the mainstay from those old Halley building days, Mr. Jingling, Santa's head elf and the keeper of the keys.
I'm Mr. Jingling, how I jingling, keeper of the keys. Dear old Santa knows how I'm on the go and how I try to please.
And just like in the days of old, when you walked off the elevator on the 7th floor of the old Halley building, this recreation takes you away and takes some people back in time.
When I was a little girl, I was on Mr. Jingling.
Who you were?
Years ago, when I was real
You came, oh yes.
When I was downtown.
If we had more of this, the kids today would be a lot happier.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more.
The green-suited elf was a regional attraction with his own song, his own TV show on TV5, and a cult following of kids.
When Santa hears that key ringing, he knows where the keys are. He knows they're right in Mr. Jingling's hands, and all is well.
Mr. Jingling, you know, I never got a key.
Oh, I did. I wish I still had mine, the cardboard key.
Yeah.
You know, when Earl died in 2000, I got to shoot the obituary. We went out and interviewed people at his house, and I got to touch the keys. The keys were on the fireplace. Mr. Jingling's real keys were on the fireplace.
That's classic. That's classic.
His wife Nadine died recently. She made his costumes, and she played Mrs. Jingling at some events too.
And he worked here. Earl Keese was an employee here at News Channel 5.
He was one of the original employees when we went on the air in 1947. He was a director, and then he got the role of Mr. Jingling. He was actually the third person to play Mr. Jingling, and then that segment ran on Captain Penny. As a director, he was known for having a strong will, and he and Paige Palmer would discuss how they're going to do something. Paige wanted something one way, Earl wanted something another way. Well, Paige would agree, but when the show went on live, she did it her way, and Earl gets so mad he'd slam his headset down and walk out in the control room, would do it by themselves till Earl came back.
And the crew just had to make do.
They just did it themselves, right.
You know, I interviewed him. He was a great Santa Claus, and one day I went with a camera to interview him, and he just picked up on it. He kind of said to his wife, around the corner, he says, "Mother, guess who just walked in? Little Leon Bibb from the Glenville area as a kid." I said, "Santa, you remember me?" He says, "Oh, Santa doesn't forget." And almost brought a tear to my eye. He played Santa Claus to the hilt. Wow. Just a wonderful, wonderful guy. Well, when we come back, we've got even more great video from Cleveland Christmases past, so don't go away.
And be sure to check out all of my vintage clips on the Video Vault page of NewsNet5.com. We'll be right back.
See dozens of vintage clips from decades of News Channel 5 programming. Go to newsnet5.com/Cleveland Video Vault 5, presented by 650 Gold.